There is a word called disgruntled, and it does mean angry or dissatisfied. Not a word you often have to explain to people who work full-time for a living. They generally, at one point or another, will be disgruntled. So, comedians, of course, like to play along with language. That is a big thing we like to do. So could you be gruntled? You can. It is actually a word. It is, of course, the opposite of disgruntled. It means pleased or satisfied. And isn't that our ultimate objective? Now, I want to be a little bit careful here, because when a man approached Buddha and said, I want happiness, apparently the Buddha said, that is your problem. You cannot start with I want. Okay, this is making it very much about ego. We're not really supposed to aim directly for happiness. It's a byproduct. But it is tough to argue that we all want to be happy. My friend John Waltz, who's now a VP of sales at P&G, he is a quarter Filipino, so that's why this is relevant here. So, yeah, there you go, Filipinos in the house, absolutely. I love that he's quoting this by Ezra T. Benson. This is a beautiful quote, that pride is concerned with who is right, humility is concerned with what is right. Sometimes office politics can wear us out, and Asians don't tend to necessarily swim in that water as well, because a lot of these institutions were built by white, cis-het white males, right? Not good, not bad, but the farther away you are from that, it's sort of vibrating at a different frequency from you, right? For us, though, I think it is a little difficult to navigate, and we could always be worried about who's going to mess us over and worry about office politics, but I find it's better just to trust people, and occasionally the price you'll pay for that is you will get burnt. But the other way to go about it, if you're constantly suspicious, is to live in constant suspicion. And I feel like that causes me way more stress than every now and then maybe getting burnt. Reduce miscommunication. I made a number of changes to my style, and this has saved me a lot of frustration. One of them is to find out if your manager or your audience, do they like to read first or listen first? This is a big one, because sometimes people like to read first. They want an email in their inbox, they want to go through all the charts and the attachments, and then they want a meeting. Other people are completely other way around. They're like, no, don't talk to me in the hallway, okay? Go ahead and, they want to be cornered in the hallway. Some people do, and some people want it the other way around. And that miscommunication happens all the time. They're like, well, I wish you would have just talked to me about it first without sending me all of this stuff. And some people like it the other way around. So I think that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind. Closing the loop with people is really, really effective. A lot of time people will introduce me to people. It happens a lot in entertainment, but it happened a lot in engineering too, where I wanted a mentor, or I wanted some advice from somebody. Go back and close the loop with the person who made the introduction. People don't do that a lot of the time. Like, oh, what happened with that thing? Did that happen? And if you go back and you say, hey, thanks, I ended up meeting with David and we had a great conversation, that will go a long way to relationship building. I'm not going to play this clip because it's been seen 26 million times on YouTube. You've probably seen it. If not, maybe you've heard of it. You can YouTube it. It's called It's Not About the Nail. And it is a great conversation between a man and a woman about whether she wants him to solve her problems or not. But one of my managers at the Page had a great philosophy. So when I sat down with him, he had all these rules for engagement of how to work with him and for him. And he goes, well, you work for me, so I can wear 3 hats. Because when you come to my office, I'm your boss. I have an evaluator hat on. So when you bring a memo to me and you present it to me, I'm evaluating you. That is my job. I am your boss, okay? You could fix that. I can wear another hat. It's called sounding board. All you had to do when you came in here was write draft at the top of it. And I will be a sounding board for you. I will help you craft this memo. We'll go back and forth. I may still be evaluating you because I'm your boss, but at the same time, you've lowered the expectation because you haven't presented it as a formal finished document. Because the third hat I wear is called Venter. You want to come in here, it's a Friday afternoon, and you just want to put your feet on my desk, put your hands behind your head, and talk about how much this place sucks. I'm down. I'm down to do that with you. If you want to just vent and get it off your chest, but you got to tell me that's what you're doing. And it works in personal relationships too. I've done this with my wife. It works. I mean, I can't wear a evaluator hat. She made that very clear. She goes, no evaluator hat. You don't get to wear that one, okay? But she goes, this is really helpful sometimes, where I go, I just wanted you to listen. Right? People say that all the time. All I wanted was, sometimes you just want someone to put their arm around you and go, that really sucks. I'm sorry you're going through that. That's all I needed. I didn't need you to try to fix it, okay? But other times, I do want your input. Well, tell me that then. Tell me that that's what you wanted. And I think that will avoid a lot of miscommunications and prevent a lot of divorces, I think. This is big, and I have to remember this one. This is hard for me too. Don't asterisk your accomplishments. You don't know the circumstances of others' accomplishments either. And I had to learn this because I'd be like, oh yeah, I opened for Dave Chappelle, or I opened for Joe Coy, or I opened for Russell Peters, but that's only because I met him here. It's only because I met this person there, or I ran into her here. Or then I would see all these other comedians doing something. I'm like, oh, well, I remember that because they just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Well, right, that's what you were. So you don't have to hold yourself to the standard of saying everyone else achieved something you didn't. You don't know the circumstances of their achievements. And there's a TED Talk given, never compare your insides to someone else's outsides. And this is very easy to do on LinkedIn, on Instagram, because you're going through everybody's feed and you're saying, oh my gosh, I haven't done anything. You know, I had this man on my podcast, Isaac Saul. He now has a very successful political podcast. He's in the middle trying to find the balance between both sides. Good luck with that. And his podcast is really great. And he talked about that. He's like, he was in his office in Philadelphia and he's going home to see his wife and he's just excited about what he's doing. And then he gets on Instagram and he's going through all of his friends who are in Hong Kong and, Turks and Caicos and looking at like sunny skies and a sunset. And he goes, oh my God, my life sucks. This office sucks. What am I doing here? Right? It just, because also you're comparing everyone else, not only their outsides, but all of your friends are, of course, going to be doing more than you are at any given time. You're one person, so you're comparing the additive effect of what everyone else is doing. That's everyone's experience. And sometimes people are later gramming too. They didn't just do that yesterday. They're spacing it out over time. So it's really, really important not to do that. Finally, on this piece, recall the law of averages. Things have a way of reverting to the mean. At the University of Cincinnati, materials engineering, I remember I got a B in my mechanics class and there was no plus minus system at the time. I was so pissed off. I really wanted an A. I got an A in fluid mechanics and that made me so happy because I worked so hard in that class. I got an A, I was so happy. I got a B in mechanics. It was mechanics 2. I was so angry about it. And I marched into Dean Young's office and I told him, I'm like, I should have had an A in this class. He was a very calm man and he looked at me and he goes, okay, maybe you should have had an A in this class. But admit to me right now, there are probably times when you got an A and you should have gotten a B. And I realized how right he was. I also want to punch him in the face because that made so much sense. I'm like, you were so right about that, Dean Young. That's not fair, but you're right. But it's the same thing you will say to a cop. A police officer will stop you. You'll say, but officer, I was not speeding. And most police officers will look at you and go, well then fine. This ticket is for every other time that you were.